Amanda's body was speaking, but not in a normal way. It didn't whisper like before. Now it screamed without a sound. Something inside her twisted and moved in strange ways that didn't feel natural. The worst part wasn't the pain, it was not knowing what was wrong. Doctors ran every test, scanned every inch of her body, but nothing made sense. It wasn't sickness. It wasn't in her body or her mind. It felt like something deeper, like an old secret hiding in her bones. Her stomach beat like it held another heart. Her veins itched as if something crawled inside. Even her shadow acted strange, moving slower than her, as if it wanted to run away. She had stopped expecting answers. The best hospitals in the US had handed her back to Nigeria with blank files and blanker stares. The doctors in Abuja shook their heads harder. Even the herbalist she once mocked gave up after one sip of her blood. Something about her frightened everyone. One nurse quit after Amanda touched her by mistake. A second began to pray aloud after examining her file. Amanda didn't cry. There were no more tears left in her. What was happening inside her didn't need pity. It needed power, and maybe even forgiveness. The dreams returned, but they weren't dreams anymore. In the quiet hours before dawn, she'd slip into a place between waking and dying. There, she would see a room with no walls and a ceiling made of smoke. A woman sat in the center. Her eyes were hollow, but her mouth kept moving. She never spoke in words, only gestures. Behind her, a mirror showed Amanda standing still while her body bled upward. These dreams didn't scare her. What scared her was the strange comfort they brought, as if the pain made more sense than peace. Amanda had never believed in prophets. Not really. She grew up in a place where people drowned their future in river water and called it tradition. But desperation scrapes away pride, layer by layer. It wasn't until the seventh woman screamed at the market, pointed at Amanda's belly and shouted, "Not everything that grows is a child," that she finally broke. That same afternoon, someone slipped her a card in silence. Just a name, a village, and a hand-drawn eye. It was wrinkled and smelled like charcoal. Amanda put it in her bag and told herself she wouldn't go. She went the next day. The journey to Ibadan was long and uneventful until the bus broke down beside a forest. No signal. No driver. No explanation. The other passengers waited. Amanda didn't. Something pulled her toward the trees. She walked like a child called by its mother's voice. The earth beneath her feet felt warmer than it should. Birds stopped chirping. The sun blinked behind the clouds. And then, there it was, an old compound covered in vines and symbols. The air tasted like ashes and mint. A wooden gate opened before she knocked. Amanda's heart stuttered. The prophetess was expecting her. The woman looked like dust sculpted into bones. Wrinkles coiled around her like bracelets. Her eyes were blind, but they moved with purpose, as if they saw memories instead of light. The room smelled of bitter cola and rain. Amanda didn't speak.
She didn't need to.
The woman turned toward her, sniffed once, and said nothing. Instead, she reached into a calabash and pulled out a stone the color of dried blood. She placed it against Amanda's stomach. The stone cracked in two. That's when Amanda fainted, not because of fear, but because her body had finally found something older than the curse. When she woke, the prophetess was boiling something in a clay pot. Smoke spiraled upward and formed faces, all female, all screaming. The walls shifted slightly, as if breathing. Amanda sat up. Her mouth tasted of iron.
Her ears rang.
The prophetess whispered, but her voice echoed inside Amanda's chest instead of her head. "Your womb was sold," the voice said. "Not for love, not for child, but for wealth. The price was signed with your agreement, even if you didn't know what the signature meant." Amanda couldn't move. Her fingers were cold. Her stomach twitched. The thing inside was listening. The ritual began without warning.
No drums. No singing.
Just silence and salt. The prophetess began tracing symbols on Amanda's back using crushed snail shells. Each stroke felt like a question pressed into skin. The heat rose. The air thickened. And then came the command. lie on the earth. Amanda did. Dirt clung to her skin like memory. The woman poured a thick black liquid into Amanda's navel. The reaction was immediate. Her stomach began to pulse like a trapped animal. A shadow leapt from her mouth. It had wings but no eyes. The prophetess caught it in a jar without blinking. Amanda didn't scream. She wanted to, but her throat had shut itself. Her eyes were open, but they showed her another world. In it, she saw Victor, not as she remembered him, but surrounded by mirrors, each reflecting a different version of Amanda. One was pregnant. One was dead. One was laughing. One was dancing in chains. The prophetess's voice broke through. He didn't choose you. The spirit chose you. He only obeyed. Amanda blinked. The world returned. The jar sat on a mat, shaking violently. The shadow inside hissed without sound. The prophetess smashed it with a rock. Silence returned like a mourning cloth. Amanda sat up slowly. Her body felt lighter, but her stomach still throbbed, just not in the same way. The prophetess warned her. That was not the curse. That was only the gatekeeper. What remains in you is older than names. It feeds on betrayal, grows with secrets, and can only die with truth. Amanda asked nothing. There were no questions strong enough for this kind of madness. As she left, the prophetess handed her a mirror wrapped in palm leaves. Use it only when the dreams stop, she said. And only if you're ready. The journey back was stranger than the journey there. Everyone on the bus avoided eye contact. A little girl reached out to touch Amanda's hand and then pulled away, saying, "It's hot." Amanda closed her eyes. Her body wasn't burning, but maybe her spirit was. That night, she sat on her bed and stared at the wrapped mirror. She didn't open it. Instead, she laughed for the first time in weeks. It was sharp and short and empty. Comic relief, her subconscious offered. Even trauma needs to breathe. But her stomach twitched again. The thing inside wasn't laughing. It was listening. The days that followed were not kind. Her fever returned. She began hearing her name in the sound of boiling water. In the market, mangoes fell as she passed. Birds flew in chaotic patterns above her. Her landlord began muttering prayers under his breath. The mirror stayed wrapped. She didn't dare open it. Instead, she began writing down her dreams, each one more vivid than the last. In one, she saw 4 girls dancing in a circle of ash. In another, she saw Victor handing a child to a creature with no mouth. Amanda didn't understand it yet, but she would. On the 7th night, something changed. She woke up with her bedsheet tied in knots around her legs. Her fingernails were black. Not dirty black. Her lips were bruised, and her breath fogged the mirror even though the room was hot. That morning, a crow landed on her window and refused to leave. It just stared. Amanda offered it bread. It laughed. She threw the mirror at it. It vanished before the glass hit the floor. The mirror cracked, but didn't shatter. Amanda picked it up and whispered, "I haven't opened you yet." The mirror whispered back, "Not yet." She began keeping candles. Not for light, but for answers. The flames flickered violently whenever she asked questions aloud. One day she asked, "What am I carrying?" The candle went out. She asked, "Why me?" The window slammed shut. Then she asked something dangerous. "Is this how I die?" The door creaked open slowly. Amanda smiled. At least something was listening. That evening, her neighbor's dog barked nonstop until midnight. Amanda stood outside and stared at it until it stopped. The next morning, the dog was dead. Amanda didn't cry. Instead, she muttered, "One less witness." She opened the wrapped mirror the following night. Her hands shook, but not from fear, this time from resolve. Inside, the glass shimmered like water. Her reflection smiled before she did. It spoke without sound. The words etched themselves into her mind. "The next girl didn't make it. Will you?" Amanda dropped the mirror. It didn't fall. It floated, then slowly descended like a feather. Amanda lay back on the bed, heart thudding, breath shallow. The mirror lay beside her, humming softly. She was no longer asking questions. She was preparing for war. And the war had just begun. Amanda no longer woke up screaming. She woke up waiting. The nightmares, once surprising, now arrived like clockwork, each night the same. A strange ocean where her name wasn't Amanda, and her body felt alien. The water whispered things she couldn't remember. She began sleeping in her jeans, fearing her soul might wander off without her permission. The mirror stayed wrapped in cloth, but the silence around her grew deafening. The rhythmic pulse in her stomach wasn't pain anymore, it was prophecy. That week, Amanda noticed something odd. Her shadow began to behave strangely. It lingered when she left the room, trailing her steps at a pace slower than her own. One day, brushing her teeth, she saw it pause mid-movement. It wasn't a stutter. It was as if it had been commanded to stop. Amanda laughed at it, then cried. She couldn't make sense of the chaos within her anymore. When a neighbor knocked to ask about a water leak, Amanda, covered in palm oil, asked if it was emotional or spiritual. Her notebooks were filling up, each page covered with symbols from her dreams. Amanda sketched them without knowing their meaning, her fingers burning with the need to capture them. At first, she used chalk, then charcoal, and eventually carved them into the floor with broken bottle caps. When the landlord complained about noise in the spirit, she offered him her cracked mirror.
He refused.
She told him to pray every morning. He left town that evening and was never seen again. A mango seller gave her the next clue, though unknowingly. "You dream like water," the woman said, staring at Amanda. "Your eyes, they're not yours. They're borrowed." Amanda didn't buy any mangoes but asked around. The search led her to Mama Titi, a retired midwife. One look at Amanda's belly and the woman said, "You carry consequence, not creation." She didn't explain further. Instead, she advised Amanda to return to the prophetess. "This is beyond me." Back in Abaddon, the prophetess was waiting. As Amanda stepped in, the woman greeted her with bitter cola. "You've been marked by the water."
She didn't sit.
Her body ached, itching from within. The prophetess dipped a wooden spoon into river sand and traced spirals on Amanda's arms. With each stroke, memories not her own flooded her mind. Flashes of red wine, a camera's flicker, a face from Victor's party. It was someone else's memory. "You were not the first," the prophetess whispered. "Victor feeds the water. His wealth is a river that flows in blood." Amanda's head spun. The room thickened like boiling soup. "There were 4 before you. For girls, each marked by symbols, not names. One drowned. One vanished. One died after giving birth. The last one speaks only in visions. And she's calling you." Amanda fell to her knees, overwhelmed by the weight of it all. That night, the dreams returned, but not as her own. This time, she saw through another's eyes. A girl, hollow-eyed, standing under a waterfall, blood running from her ears. Her voice echoed in Amanda's mind. "He asked for loyalty. We gave him lineage." Amanda woke, sand in her hair, salt on her lips. The prophetess handed her a black stone wrapped in banana leaf. "Sleep closer to water," she advised. Back in Lagos, Amanda felt something shift within her. Her feet moved on their own, taking her to unfamiliar places. One day, she found herself standing beside the lagoon, disoriented. The water rose without wind, and her name echoed. "Amanda, Amanda, Amanda." Then it morphed into a warning. As she turned to leave, her stomach twisted violently, and she collapsed. When she opened her eyes, a white envelope was tucked into her shirt. Inside were photographs of girls, all with Victor, all smiling. Their eyes were hollow, edited, sold. The final photo had a note on the back. "Your belly will decide the 5th." Amanda's heart pounded as she ran to a cyber cafe. She dug into Victor's past, finding obscure references to the Atlanta Five girls, one chosen at each of Victor's elite events. The truth emerged slowly. Each girl had been promised heaven, only to be delivered into something far darker. Amanda's investigation led her to a mansion just outside Badagry. It was abandoned, bare walls, a rusted gate. Inside, a metal chair bolted to the floor, surrounded by mirrors covered in black cloth. Amanda lifted one and saw not her own reflection, but a looped video of a girl, crying, laughing, disappearing. She dropped the mirror. The room trembled. She ran out, collapsing several streets away. When Amanda woke, she was in an unfamiliar room, a woman peeling oranges beside her. "I found you screaming in the gutter," the woman said. Amanda didn't answer, her gaze lost in the falling orange peels. A vision materialized, the girl from her dreams, standing in the corner, pointing. The wall behind her peeled itself away, revealing carved symbols. Amanda recognized them from her notebooks. "It's not just inside you," the vision whispered. "It's everywhere." Amanda returned home. She opened the mirror again. This time, she saw a river behind her reflection. Victor knelt beside it, holding a jar. Inside the jar, a baby without a face. Amanda clutched her stomach as the pain returned, like thunder. The mirror shattered. She fainted. When she awoke, the prophetess was standing over her again. "The thing inside you is listening, and now it's learning." Amanda didn't scream. Instead, she smiled. "Good," she whispered. "Let it learn what regret tastes like." And somewhere deep within her, it listened. Amanda began recording herself. Not for sympathy. Not even for justice. For proof. If she died, someone had to know what really killed her. Each night, she stared into the lens, eyes hollow, voice frayed like a breaking note, cataloging symptoms, symbols, shifts. Her video logs resembled testimonies carved into stone. But something was wrong with the footage. On playback, her voice echoed before her lips moved. Her pupils shimmered with unnatural light. In one recording, she whispered a phrase she had no memory of saying. "He who drinks silence births storms." The mirror was gone, shattered and sealed in a wooden box, but its influence lingered. Puddles glared. Spoons flinched. Foam cameras blinked before she did. Her reflection had stopped obeying. She abandoned glass. Even Lagos moved on without her, loud, alive, ignorant. Amanda's world shrank to silence and symbols. She stopped answering calls. Rain left bruises. Showers stung. Once, 10 seconds in a drizzle knocked her unconscious. When she came to, her mouth tasted like lightning. She no longer trusted the sky. She started placing bowls of water beside her bed, hoping to trap her dreams. It didn't work. The dreams learned to walk. One night, an anonymous message slipped into her inbox. "You are not crazy. We believe you. We can help." Attached, a zip file. Amanda copied it to a flash drive and visited a cyber cafe, hoodie up, gloves on. Inside the folder were photos of Victor, in robes at rituals, surrounded by masked donors. One image showed a chamber identical to the one from Amanda's visions. Another, a list of powerful names. A Word document held a journalist's contact. Amanda hesitated, then sent a clip with one line. "I'm the fifth, and I'm still alive. For now." She shut her phone and prayed for nothing. Hope had grown too expensive. The next day, a letter slid under her door. "Meet me where fire kissed the mirror." Amanda knew. Bait agree. She arrived at 3:17 a.m. The abandoned mansion welcomed her. Inside, only one mirror remained uncovered. It shimmered like spilled oil. Amanda stepped forward. Her reflection smiled, then cried, then turned away. Her body froze. Her stomach twisted. Text bloomed across the glass. "You're not carrying a curse. You're carrying a mirror." She screamed, but only inside. Her body refused to move. Then, the mirror ruptured.
Nos chares.
No sound, just absence. Amanda fell. When she opened her eyes, a girl sat beside her, barefoot, soaked, and familiar. One of the four. She mouthed no words, but symbols bloomed in the air. "Expose him, or become me." Then she vanished. Amanda stood, lighter in body, heavier in soul. On the way home, colors inverted. Roads bent. Trees hummed. She reached her compound by instinct, but collapsed in front of a nearby pharmacy. Passers-by screamed, "She's mad." One boy tried to help. When he touched her, he fainted. Ambulance. Sedation. Psychiatric ward. She was labeled, "Unknown hysterical female, emergency ward 4." The staff avoided her. Food trays arrived upside down. Lights burst. One night, the mirror on the ceiling began to sweat, then drip, then melt. A nurse fled. The report read, "Delusions manifesting physically." Amanda knew better. This wasn't in the mind. This was in the spirit. She stared into the warped mirror above her bed. No reflection. Only Victor, screaming into a phone.
Alone.
Disheveled.
Panicked.
Amanda smiled. Then another scene. Victor kneeling in a bathtub, blood on his hands, staring at an envelope. Amanda whispered, "You're unraveling, aren't you?" The window cracked. A crow landed. It whispered her name. In reverse. She offered it her hospital bracelet. It took it and vanished. That night, Amanda slept. When she woke, a new message waited. Auto-downloaded by hospital Wi-Fi. "We're going public, but you must testify." She checked out the same day. No resistance. The psychiatrist barely looked up. As she passed through the ward, a patient reached for her and whispered, "It's not just in you anymore. It's in the system now." Amanda nodded. Good, she thought. Let it burn from the inside. That night, she played her video diaries in reverse. One clip revealed a male voice she had never heard. "The child is not a child. It is a doorway. And if it opens, the fifth becomes the first." She saved everything. No deletions. She uploaded copies to 3 journalists, one women's rights NGO, and a social justice pastor with a viral reputation. The files began to spread, quietly, virally. The world didn't notice yet, but the wind had shifted. In a dark office in another city, Victor's lights flickered and didn't come back on. News doesn't break, it leaks. First in whispers, then in screenshots. Amanda's video diaries began to ripple through underground channels, passed between bloggers, journalists, and quiet warriors who understood that truth often came wearing blood. Within a week, Victor Ashford's name had found its way to public suspicion. Not in bold headlines. Not yet. But in sidebars and subtweets. A billionaire with spotless press now faced questions with no safe answers. Amanda watched from her bed, each share a scratch on the glass coffin that had once protected him. Her story wasn't viral yet. But the infection had started. Victor panicked behind marble walls. He had spent years constructing an empire made of masks, contracts, and shadows. But now, something he couldn't calculate had entered the equation.
Truth.
Not the kind written in law books, but the kind whispered by survivors. Amanda's silence had once been his safety net. But now she spoke through wires, images, symbols, and silence too loud to ignore. His legal team scrambled. His allies held their breath. Then, without ceremony, Victor vanished. His penthouse emptied. His phones disconnected. Amanda knew exactly what that meant. He was running. Because he knew what came next. Interpol caught him in Ghana. He was found in a borrowed apartment, shaking, muttering about mirrors that listen. The arrest wasn't loud. No cameras. No headlines. But Amanda felt it in her bones. The thing inside her twitched, violently. Not in pain, but in warning. Victor had been captured, but the curse hadn't. That same night, her ceiling cracked down the center. A lizard fell into her pot of stew and died instantly. The electricity tripped 5 times. And outside her window, a group of street kids began screaming that a woman's face had appeared in the moon. Amanda didn't look up. Victor's arrest changed nothing at first. Then, like infected roots, the effects began to spread. Major investors pulled out. 3 of his companies crashed within 48 hours. His charity foundation was exposed for misappropriation. And then, the unthinkable, a former employee uploaded footage of one of the ritual ceremonies. Blurred faces. Red wine. Girls dancing in slow circles. A man in a white mask whispering blessings over a doll made of hair. The internet erupted. Hashtags trended. The fifth girl became a movement. Amanda was named, doxed, deified, and demonized. Praise and hate arrived together, carved from the same viral stone. But Victor still had allies. Dark ones. Amanda began receiving messages, emails from fake addresses warning her to recant. Her door was marked with white chalk. A dead bird was mailed to her in a shoebox. Her SIM card was cloned. And then, one night, her cousin Tolu disappeared on her way to church. The police shrugged. Maybe she ran off with a man, they said. Amanda knew better. This wasn't about love. It was revenge. She issued a statement the next day. If anything happens to my family, I'll burn the whole empire to ash. Her face trended globally for 6 hours. A stranger knocked that evening. An old woman wearing white, barefoot, eyes cloudy. He's not finished, she whispered. Your fire is loud. He hears it. Amanda didn't let her in. But she took the envelope the woman handed her. Inside were directions to a compound in Ogun State and a phrase, only fire can evict what shadow planted. Amanda packed that night. No one knew where she was going, not even the journalist helping her leak files. Her phone stayed off. Her documents hidden. She took nothing but her wrapped mirror, her flash drives, and a jar of river sand. The compound was ancient. It sat like a scar on the forest floor. Old stone, sacred ground. The air was too still. The birds sang in reverse notes. Amanda was led inside by a mute boy. The priestess didn't speak English.
She didn't need to.
Her eyes told Amanda everything. There would be pain. There would be no guarantees. And whatever came out of Amanda's body may not leave willingly. The cleansing ritual began that night. Fire circled her. Salt traced her veins. Chains were laid across her legs, not to bind her, but to weigh down her spirit. At midnight, the priestess smeared Amanda's face with charcoal and spit palm oil onto her navel. The reaction was instant. Amanda screamed, loud, guttural, ancient. Her belly rippled like fabric caught in wind. The fire danced higher. The boy held her arms. The priestess chanted in a language Amanda had never heard, but instantly understood. She wasn't being healed. She was being hunted from the inside out. And whatever lived within her had begun to fight back. Her teeth chattered. Her fingers clawed the air. Then, without warning, her body rose, levitated 4 feet off the ground. Time paused. Even the crickets went silent. In that stillness, Amanda entered a trance. She stood in a field of ash. Before her, the missing girl appeared again.
Drenched. Hollow.
But not weak. If it's born, she whispered, the curse continues. If it dies, we do too. Amanda looked down. Her stomach was no longer a stomach. It was a door, wooden, cracked, locked. Do you want freedom? The girl asked. Amanda nodded. Then burn what you fear most. Amanda reached for a match. Lit it. Threw it on the door. It caught fire. Screamed. Split in half. She turned away. But the scream followed. Amanda woke up screaming. The fire was gone.
Her clothes drenched.
The priestess was gone. Only the boy remained, wiping her forehead with cloth dipped in salt. Her stomach was flat.
No pulse. Not witch.
No second heartbeat. Amanda cried, for the first time, not from pain but from something else. Relief? Maybe. But as she dressed, a mirror on the altar caught her eye. Her reflection had no shadow. The boy handed her a note, handwritten, in the same language as the chants. Amanda didn't understand it until she did. It said, "The house has been cleansed, but the air remains haunted." She returned to Lagos quietly. The media storm had grown teeth. Victor's bail had been denied. Activists were staging protests. Church leaders were speaking in riddles. Feminist movements launched new campaigns. Amanda's inbox overflowed with interview requests, book deals, podcast invites. She declined all of them. Fame was another kind of curse. Instead, She watched from the shadows as Victor's empire rotted under the weight of exposure. One by one, his companies bled. His name was dragged into UN panels and international watchdog lists. But Amanda didn't celebrate, because she knew one thing no one else did. It wasn't over. That night, she received a voicemail. A child's voice, breathing hard, whispering, "He knows you opened the door. He knows what you gave up." Amanda stared at her phone, then turned it off.
Permanently.
She retrieved her flash drives, walked into a church where no one knew her name, and dropped them anonymously. The news broke 48 hours later. Full names, locations, financial documents, voice notes, ritual videos. The world finally reacted. Victor was officially charged with international spiritual trafficking, ritual abuse, and exploitation. A global court date was set. Amanda smiled once, then wept, then slept. But even sleep carried shadows. Trials are supposed to be about facts, but in this one, facts felt like whispers in a room of screams. Victor Ashford stood in court wearing a tailored suit and an empty smile. His lawyers looked composed. His hands were steady, but his eyes, they trembled. Amanda watched the live stream alone, wrapped in a faded Ankara wrapper, face lit by the glow of her second-hand laptop. She didn't cheer when they listed his crimes. She didn't cry when her name was mentioned. She only exhaled slowly, as if she'd been holding her breath since the day he promised her a future. Victor denied everything, as expected. But the testimonies mounted. Anonymous girls, medical experts, NGO reps, even a pastor who admitted he'd once blessed Victor's foundation without knowing what it funded. One girl sent a letter instead of testifying. It simply read, "He took my voice. I'm still looking for it." The court paused. Silence lingered. Amanda whispered to her laptop screen, "She's not alone." But her body had started speaking a language of its own. Her ears rang constantly. Her chest pulsed in rhythm with the courtroom gavel. Her eyes itched, not from dust, but from something deeper, something unseen. On the third day of trial, Amanda was summoned to testify. She refused. The fourth day, she agreed, but not in person. Instead, she recorded a statement, a visual narration of everything: the beginning, the curse, the rituals, the sickness, the mirror, the girl in her dreams. The video was played in court, and halfway through her recording, Amanda's eyes began to bleed. On camera.
Live.
She didn't notice, but everyone else did. Judges leaned forward. Reporters gasped. The prosecutor paused. Amanda's voice changed mid-sentence. Deeper, ancient, layered. The court bailiff fainted. The screen cut to black. The live stream went dead for 3 full minutes. Those minutes became legend. Social media lit up. Possession trended. Experts debated. Theological scholars released YouTube analyses. Amanda's name entered global discourse. But Amanda herself disappeared. She turned off her phone, deleted her accounts, locked her door. The silence she had once feared now felt like medicine. But even in retreat, she wasn't alone. Her walls pulsed at night. Her shadow moved while she slept. Her plants died in clusters. She began hearing music in her light bulbs. The thing she'd thought she expelled, the curse, had not left. It had multiplied, not by growth, but by trauma. It had learned how to hide. She considered ending it. Once. Just once. She stood on 3rd Mainland Bridge at 2 a.m., holding a bag of stones, her feet bare, her thoughts loud. But before she could step forward, she heard a laugh. Not hers. Not human. Just a laugh, long and wet, echoing from beneath the bridge. Amanda stepped back, threw the stones into the lagoon, and walked away barefoot, whispering, "I still owe myself more than this." She returned home with sand in her hair and purpose in her spine. The curse had underestimated her. But Amanda was raised by water, and water remembers. That night, she had the final dream. Her mother appeared, not sick, not weak, but radiant. She wore white, and her eyes were full of storm. She held Amanda's chin and said, "Forgiveness is not for him. It's for you. If you carry this pain forever, you become a carrier, not a survivor." Amanda wept in her sleep. Her mother placed something in her hand, a dried hibiscus flower wrapped in red thread.
"There's one more healer," she said.
Not of herbs, not of blood, but of names. Amanda woke up gripping a real flower, dried, red, still warm. Her body smelled of incense. She found the healer without searching. He lived in a compound behind a church with no name. He didn't charge. He didn't touch her. He only asked her to sit and write every version of herself she had ever become. Happy Amanda, poor Amanda, hopeful Amanda, angry Amanda, cursed Amanda, clean Amanda. Every page felt like surgery. Every sentence burned. When she finished, he took the pages and set them on fire. The ashes danced in a copper bowl. Then he said something she'd never expected to hear. "Now ask your body to forgive your soul." Amanda laughed.
Cried.
Then did it. She stayed in the healer's compound for 3 days. No phones. No names. Just wind, water, and small prayers whispered into pepper soup. On the last day, the healer handed her a mirror. Not for rituals, not for demons. Just a plain mirror. Amanda stared into it. Her reflection smiled before she did, but this time, it was in sync. The eyes blinked together. The breath matched. No whispers. No blood. Just silence. The good kind. Amanda folded the mirror into a wrapper and left before sunrise. The road home felt shorter. Or maybe lighter. Either way, something had shifted. Back in Lagos, the media moved on. Another scandal. Another storm. But Amanda stayed quiet. Her name floated in headlines, but she didn't chase them. Her image was printed on protest banners, but she didn't attend. Instead, she planted a small tree beside her compound, watered it daily, sat beside it, called it Tolu. She started a foundation, not a big one, just enough. Scholarships for girls from Makoko.
No contracts. No sponsors.
Just truth, therapy, and tuition. She named it the fifth door.
People asked why.
She said nothing. Some doors are better understood by those who've walked through them. At night, Amanda still feels it sometimes, the echo, the twitch, the lingering. Trauma isn't an event. It's a country. And sometimes she visits. But now she brings a passport. Now she knows how to leave. She lights a candle beside the mirror each night. Not for protection, but remembrance. She tells herself, "I survived. Not because I was strong, but because I refused to stay weak." And sometimes, just sometimes, she smiles for no reason. The kind of smile that scares ghosts. The kind that reminds the darkness it picked the wrong girl. And somewhere, Victor dreams of water. The rains returned before Amanda did. Long rains. Loud rains. The kind that scrape old memories off rooftops. The water fell like an apology, soaking the streets of Makoko and turning dust into stories. Amanda stood barefoot at the